building.
You're like, I'm getting out of here.
Slew of people around me who just literally were just like calling me names, talking shit because I wouldn't kill my opponent. Son, how do you even do this anymore? What is even an opening? What does it even matter? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Otaku Flavored. I'm Jay Lewis. With always.
I'm Bear. Yeah. Oh my God, he pointed at me.
Bear, who doesn't want
I was like, holy shit, dude. I think he's gonna say my name for me, and I'm like, all right, I'll just wait. We sit here the entire episode. He's like,
just look and stare. Come on, I was trying to get the energy in me. I was like, whew, full day of like actual work today, and like, whew. We gotta get battle cries going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just show me your battle cry. Show me a war cry.
Whatever. This is last week that we're in separate areas. Next week, same area, same stuff.
Yeah.
We'll have like a new area behind us. It'll be a whole thing, and that'll be fun.
We'll be able to be actually in person. So
yeah.
Hopefully moving forward, it'll be all actually in person.
I know we've been like talking about that and hinting about that, but it's really real. I mean, I went back to work today. For those of you who don't know, we both work at a game studio, so we were in the same room hanging out today, and that was a whole thing.
Yeah. It's definitely
the world. It's crazy out there. How have you guys been living like this?
I was gonna say, is it strange coming back? Is it one of those things where it's like I did not expect to be back this soon?
I was in lockdown before lockdown was like a thing, so I wasn't like, I knew all these measures of like distancing and like plexiglass and like walls between everybody existed, but I hadn't like seen it firsthand yet. So it was almost like coming out of a coma after like a year.
Yeah.
Like coming into a place and being like, y'all do this now? Like, it's crazy. So it's cool though. I personally enjoy the further distance. There's no awkward hand touching. Because there's a thing that I hated back before this thing was all a thing. When you would go to hand somebody something and you grab it by the far back as you possibly can, and you go to reach forward, like you got like, say this is like my credit card or something like that, and you're like trying to hand it to them, you hand it to them by the little tip, and they do one of these, and they're like, grab it from you, and you're just like, oh dear God, I'm dead.
No,
like,
my hand. My hand.
What was with that? Yeah, they just like come up and just grab your fingers and pull off, and like, how dare you?
Just do what I'm doing. Just do what I'm doing. Grab the other end.
No. They're like trying to go in for a secret handshake to get your card from you.
Oh man!
And now everything's chip based. Everything's remote. There's an Oliver in the background trying to say hi to you guys. Daylight time, so we're dealing with my bird really quick. But yeah, I like the barriers.
Yeah, I will say the thing that I really liked about this is how much everything did have to kind of go touchless sooner. Like a lot of places went touchless or didn't do cash way sooner than they would have otherwise, if at all. And it's been very nice to do Apple Pay or do like, if you have Android Pay or whatever, and just hold my phone up, buy it. I'm like, oh, everywhere has this now. I don't even have to take my credit card out of my pocket. I don't have to do this awkward thing of giving anyone anything. But
no, it's I like it.
I like it too.
I'm surprised on the amount of people that aren't wearing masks when I was out walking around, but it's it's I get it. They're vaxxed. They don't need to anymore, and that's comforting.
Yeah.
Allegedly, I'm vaxxed, so I don't care so much anymore.
Yeah, I could see that being like less worried about it. It is crazy to me how many people instantly were like, "All right, let's go. Like we don't need these anymore. Enough of us are vaxxed." And it's like, okay. I know the deadline or like the mandate's going away soon. I think it's like the 15th is tentative right now, and I don't know. I wonder how that's all going to go. You're going to be able to go into restaurants or wherever without a mask.
Yeah. Time out for let me kill Oliver really quick.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
Yeah, hold on. Time out.
Oh my God.
Don't put this in the podcast. I'll be right
back. I was like, what time is it? And we're like, hey, we're a good chunk in. This is like Oh. It's like you. I don't. Okay.
He's getting a little screechy there.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think anyone cares either way. But it's one of those things where, yeah, I'll cut out killing Oliver. Don't kill.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't kill all.
They're killing birds.
No,
Okay.
no killing birds.
All right. Is it gonna be noisy?
I like.
I don't know. Okay.
It's whatever. As I said, don't worry about it.
Okay, so back into we were talking about everything being locked up, the nice changes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people
so
going
the-
back to stores and stuff.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about that too is like all of us nerds who played card games and things like that, like when are tournaments and like get-togethers at like game stores gonna become a thing again?
Right.
We were
I think it's gonna be a little bit. Personally, I don't know if I would go back immediately to hanging out with everybody. Maybe my initial like our close friend group and things I could see going back to games like that. But public games, oh man.
public games is a whole thing. Yeah, what are we gonna put dividers up in between the people?
Dude,
What's with Magic always printing cards that let you steal other players' stuff? Like, can we stop touching people's stuff?
I don't want to have to. Yeah, it's like, all right, can you move
I
your
gain
card
control
over?
of that. Can you just turn it around?
Yeah, yeah. I need that tapped. I need that. Can you tap it for me? I do think that's one of those things too, where I mean, I had stopped going to public games for a while now. Like, it was like, all right, the people that go to public games, there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you have no one else to go play with, or if that's like where your friend group plays, it makes a lot of sense. But I don't know.
They're fun communities, and they're a thing that I did as a kid that like made sense to me. Like I did Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments when I was a kid for a little while. Those were
Damn,
fun.
okay. That's legit.
What
I
about
loved.
you? Did you?
Yeah, I did. Like growing up, I did Pokemon. We had a Pokemon League at our local Toys R Us, where yeah, you would bring your decks, you would play. They had people who were basically like gym leaders and things like that, where you could earn badges from. And it was a whole
so cool.
It was a whole thing. Yeah, you got like a promo card for going a lot of the time, or like a promo coin. They did really well with that. I very much enjoyed it. It was one of the strange things too, because during that time, no one I felt like was very good at the game, or at least the majority of people who were playing there were kids. It was almost like parents would drop their kids off for a set amount of time, like a daycare or like something like that.
Stuff that they can't do nowadays. Yeah, that's the thing I remember too, is like just getting dropped off. See ya in a couple hours. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go do the thing that I wanted to do while you sit here and do that's something you clearly want to do, so that's fine. At least you'll be distracted enough.
Did you have adults that played in those tournaments at all?
There were older kids, but I can't think of any actual adults other than the like staff that were there, staffed at the tournaments or at the Pokemon League, basically. But
Okay.
which I think were just Toys R Us employees, if I'm like remembering correctly. I don't think it was volunteers or anything like that. I actually think it was something that like Toys R Us held. But maybe it was just
Toys R Us did the one for Yu-Gi-Oh as well when I played in that.
Yeah, it was weirdly enough, Toys R Us was the first place I remember going to do card game stuff or things like that. Our local LGS, like I didn't go to at all. It was more of like that's where the big kids hung out, and that's where like the older kids were, and like shady stuff felt more shady. Everyone was playing Magic the Gathering instead of Pokemon.
All those things, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember playing the Yu-Gi-Oh game. Like I do remember the downtown stores, and yeah, it's like old kids playing there, and they were playing Magic and whatnot. And it's like I wasn't into that at that age when Yu-Gi-Oh was still a thing, as when we were kids, like original Yu-Gi-Oh. But there was one kid who came there because it was like a pack of cards per win, and you got to pick anything out of the selection of cards that they had there. And this kid would just come there and try hard over all of these like little kids that just knew nothing.
That
and it
sucks.
was, yeah, you just see like because what we were. I don't even know what age you are at that point, but like young teenagers or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like nobody's over the age of like 13 there or whatever. And then you got some younger ones there, and then there's just this one dude that was like in his like mid 20s or something like that,
That's so funny. Like,
sitting
all
down at
right.
like
All right, we
these kid tables that you know because everything's like meant for our level, so he's just like big up on this table and he's like
it's like
playing against everybody.
the protagonist from your anime, like he just crushes down, fixes glasses, and it's like, oh shit, dude. All right.
Yeah, I was like, why would you go to that? And it's like, I remember it was really weird too because the dude had a girlfriend, but she was like standing there behind him the whole time. So, you know, good on him, whatever. But it's just like, we all kids right here. Like,
Yeah.
I get it when you're at like the local GameStop and there's like, or not GameStop, game shop. And there's the dude in his like 80s all the way down to, you know, your 13-year-olds and
Sure.
everybody in between. It's a wide range and it's expected there. But at like Toys R Us,
Yeah, it's something too that
we didn't build real decks.
yeah,
There's
something
one-ups in there.
it was one of those things where it's like, I mean, especially back then, yeah, it's crazy to think that a lot of my stuff was just pieced together from what I had in my collection. It wasn't like I was going online and net decking and like, all right, let's make the
Nah.
best Pokemon deck ever. It was like literally, I like this card. I'm putting this card in. Like,
Yep, you crack something new and you're like, oh, it's rare, it goes in.
it goes in. Yeah, I don't even know if it's good. Like, a lot of the cards in there too, yeah, were just like random shit that I thought was sweet that I just put in. Like, I would even like be like, oh, I like the art on this. I'm gonna put this in my deck. I don't even care. Like, Pokemon's a weird one too because it felt fairly balanced. I do feel like I can't remember anyone coming and just sweeping basically, but at the same time, I mean, I don't remember that all that much other than being there at the
I
events
don't
and playing.
remember it.
Yeah, I like can't
I
think
just
of.
remember that one old dude coming and playing. That was it because he did sweep. Other than that, yeah, it was. I don't remember any records, anything like that of like who was winning how much or whatever. I do remember it was still in print of like the original Legends of Blue Eyes was still a pack you could
Damn,
get
yeah.
as like a reward because it was way back when. But like
Same.
yeah,
I think this is when like Fossil first edition Fossil was coming out and things
Fossil
like that.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish I played in Pokemon tournaments as a kid. They were just not a thing when I was where I lived at the time because I think during Pokemon's like big time before that came out, I was still living in like rural areas of like Montana and things like that. So I had
Yeah.
like no access to like anything like that.
Yeah,
And
I
it
wanna
wasn't until
I want to say I was like 9 or something like that. Like I want to say I was young. I could have even been younger than
Yeah.
that. I don't know, when did Pokemon come out? That's like one of the things I've been doing a lot recently is I'm like, oh, when did this come out? Oh, like look it up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, this is either way
98 or
before I thought
something.
it was or way after I thought it was. Like, the fuck? What is time anymore? Like, pandemic fucked with all of that.
Oh, yeah. I have no real concept. I was like, I've been working at my job for a little over a year, and I'm like, no, you got to add COVID year to that, and it's like,
Yeah.
plus the other times, like I'm almost been there for like 3 years, and it's like, okay,
It doesn't feel that way. Yeah, I 100%
No.
agree. Like I'm like a little over my first year there, and it does not feel like I've been there for an entire year. But yeah, I don't know. All that's definitely one of the strange things. To get back to tournaments for a second, I had something that we were talking about the other day with a group of people, and I was wondering, have you ever heard of board game tournaments? Like straight up,
yes,
like just
Yes.
your normal board game, but like tournaments for them.
Oh yeah, those all the time. Catan has like one that's still active. There's one for Scythe, which is the dumbest idea ever because Scythe is not a game that should have a tournament on. But we'll cover that another day as to why Scythe isn't as good of a game as y'all think it is. Seven Wonder tournaments I've seen. I've even seen Monopoly tournaments, but those are few and far between.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I've seen many of these things.
I was wondering if that was something that had competitive play, and I didn't think so. Weirdly enough, I was like, nah, like casual games. I mean, if now thinking about it, I think everything can potentially have competitive play. Like
Yeah.
looking at I don't know, any video game or things like seeing Fall Guys have competitive play, or games that are super RNG have competitive play, and it's like, oh wait, this is weird. Like, this is something that you would normally casually play with your family or friends, and yet there are kids going sweaty and like super try hard to play these games. That makes sense. I mean,
No, yeah, I've seen we bought tournament stuff many times when I ran the comic book shop. Like we had when Splendor first came out, Splendor tournament kits where we
really,
give out like specialized playmats for winners and special chips for them and whatnot. You know, it's like a whole thing. So yeah, we've had many of those come through the game shop, and also I've yeah, they're really fun.
that's neat. I could see that actually being.
Yeah, so I used to play poker many nights. A lot of times after I closed up at the shop, I would just go and sit down for like 2 hours and like clean up a little bit. And I did that semi like almost professionally. Like it's something that I literally would use to supplement my income with.
Damn. Okay.
And so I did that for I don't know, like 3 years straight or something like that, or more. Um, 4 years, I think. I did that straight until I moved to California, where there wasn't anywhere to play poker, except for one small place, but it was
Weirdly enough,
not meant to go play poker. Like it was a bunch of like locals that really didn't want anybody to come in that wasn't their friends.
yeah, if that was around here, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Weirdly enough,
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody in this area knows exactly what I'm talking about. And you don't go play poker there
yeah,
unless you want your ass possibly kicked by somebody who would
sketch.
be more than happy to show you where the door is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So despite it being advertised on the front door, like this place, whatever. So when I moved back to California, I was like, I need something to scratch that itch. There's nothing out there that's really gonna like get me anything that I want. So I went and drafted Magic for the first time ever, and
There
that
you
was
go.
like scratch the itch of like competitive play, but doesn't make you any money.
No.
Even if you go like hard at tournaments, sure, I've won a couple of like $1,000 tournaments and whatnot, things like that. But those are few and far between, and you're not guaranteed to like come away with much if you don't place top. So
Yeah, I could see
but
poker
yeah,
being a
so
much better way to make money than
oh yeah.
playing. Have you ever thought about getting back into poker and going to like tournaments and things like that in Vegas or?
Yeah, so every now and then when I'm out at other places visiting, I'll go sit down on a table and go for a while. But poker is, if you're going to do it consistently as something that you like want to do or make money off of and not just blow some money, is kind of a thing that you kind of gotta go to consistently and be at a place that you know.
I could see that.
It comes with a whole lot of other stuff. I would love to do it again if I lived in a place where it was a feasible thing to do, but I just can't do it here.
Yeah.
And online poker is not exactly a thing because they shut it down in almost all the states. I had an account online for a long time, and then just like everybody else, that happened in, oh god, I forget when, sometime in the mid 2000s, we all woke up to a giant letter from the US on all of the poker online sites saying all your money has been seized. You will be paid out 10% or a X amount, whatever one's smaller.
Oh my god,
like,
that's so real.
Just literally, just everybody just got all of their stuff tanked, and they're like, it's illegal. We're just seizing all of your money. Nobody's going to get punished for it, and don't ever involve your actions in this, because there's only 2 states in the U.S. where you can gamble online legally.
Huh.
One of them being Vegas, and I forget where the other one is. So I just was like, haha. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. You're like, and I guess we're not doing this online. That's
Yeah,
interesting. I didn't even know that. I knew like online poker was a thing. Like you could go do online poker still, but I'm guessing it's not for actual money, or if it is, then you're
You have to
doing
be
something
in a place
sketchy
where
at
you
this
can
point.
legally do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure there's enough people who are playing it with a VPN.
With a VPN or yeah, I was just thinking that
just
too.
saying, sure, I'm there or whatever. but that's not a when that happened. I was just took my losses and left playing online and went to playing only in person, which is what I did from like there on out, which was better anyways. I prefer one-on-one poker, and it's a lot easier to make money at it in person because you get into routines with other people and like the locals and whatnot, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's also free drinks. Free drinks, free dinners when you're there long enough. Like
That's
you
true.
get hooked up.
Man, that's something about Vegas that always like seems nice. Is like, all right, if I sit at this table long enough, I basically get free whatever. Like they'll come by. I've heard like stories of people getting rooms comped, like crazy shit going down. And I'm like, damn, all right, maybe I should play table games more.
Yeah, I know you'll get hooked up a lot. So that was definitely where I got into being competitive.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you have like a moment or a game?
Yeah. So for me, it was Halo 2. Like, Halo 2 got me into the competitive scene pretty hardcore for as far as online goes. We would do game battles. We would basically run local tournaments and play at those. And then we started going to like MLG and things like that. And yeah, it was just one of those things where Halo 2 just brought me into the limelight of, okay, this is what competitive play can be like. Weirdly enough, now I'm thinking about it, I think my very first tournament though was Super Smash Brothers, and I remember getting ready for that. It was like our first local tournament. It was over the hill from where we are, and the people that I was playing with were basically from like the actual competitive scene, and they were one of them had gone to nationals and won, and basically was going to go to internationals, but he broke his arm, so he was unable to go. And so it was like him and his brother were both extremely good. And I remember we had one day before the tournament, and they were like trying to boot camp me for one day to get me good. And I'm like, no, this isn't how this works. Like, you kids are by far better than me. Why am I going to this thing? But I remember getting to the tournament, playing the best I could. I think I won my first match, lost, got into losers, and then lost again. But it was just fun. Like, that whole experience made me realize that there are kids that are a lot better than you at video games. Because for me, I was pretty much the best at Smash Brothers in our friend group. Like, I could beat almost any of my friends consistently all the time. And so it was like the next step. It was like, okay, I'm going to come to this thing and I'm going to do really good. And then, yeah, those kids showed up and it was like, okay, so they're better kids than me. Like, maybe I'll have, like, I don't think I'm winning because I don't think I can beat them, but like, maybe I'll do okay. And then getting there was like, oh no, there's by far better kids than me. I remember the kid that beat me and put me into losers, ended up going and winning the whole tournament. And he was just this random dude that they had no idea who he was, just some local guy, and he was unbelievably good. It was like, why are you not playing in high level tournaments? Why are you coming out to this to play in? But yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things for me that sparked that itch, and I just always wanted to keep getting better and playing better. And Halo 2 was the one that really took off because we were pretty dang good at that. We never really made it to the level of like professional. One of our friends got signed and actually did go and start going to tournaments and things like that. But no, like the most I ever personally did at tournaments was going to either local ones, hosting our own local tournaments, and then going to like the big ones as I want to say semi-pro, but we weren't really getting paid. We were going there ourselves as a team, like. And I feel like in order to put that pro next to me, I'd have to be signed by somebody, like giving me free stuff to get me there or whatever it might be. But
or at least making enough money from something.
Yeah, exactly.
To pay a bill.
Because we never really made money. I had a couple of the people in our friend group were good at certain things, like Lost Planet. Weirdly enough, my best friend, he was #1 in the United States for basically forever, and would do game battles and win money and all of that type of stuff. And yeah, it was strange it's always strange when you like see somebody at the very top of their game and you're like, damn, all right, there's no way I could ever compete with this. But I need to keep getting better. And yeah, competitive gaming to me is just it's a fun way to try to see how good you are in the pool of people who play your game, because there's people that are going to be better than you almost all the time unless you're in that top percentile. But it's interesting going local and being like, okay, cool, like maybe I can beat everybody locally, and then you go up to the next level and you do like statewide, and you're like, all right, cool, and then you go to nationals. And that's just something that I've always found that's really interesting and wanted to be more into it. Counter-Strike was the one where I was trying to do that the most, but I just never got on a team. I never, basically, it was kind of at my point in my life where I'm like, I either go hardcore on this or I get a job and I actually like pay for things and have to live. So I either go down the route of just trying to be the best at this game, or I try to actually live a real life. So I don't know. I chose getting a job so I could get money, because being a professional gamer, yeah, isn't the easiest way to make money. Maybe you'll have like a couple $1,000 tournaments, as you were saying, like around you every once in a while.
Yeah. That a couple $1,000 or $1,000 winning $1,000 tournament does not mean paying your rent.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, especially with the few and far between. So it's, you basically have to have a sponsor. You have to be going to these bigger things. Basically, you have to be getting paid to do this.
Yeah, no, that's always the thing about, like, I had people that asked me why I didn't try to go like professional Magic, and it was just that. It's like your professional players do not play, like, that's not their job.
Yeah.
Back when those were even things. Now that all the pro players are gone for Magic and whatnot, but that's a whole separate side story. But even when it was a thing, it's like there's few and far between that were ever able to do it. If most likely they were sponsored by Channel Fireball or something like that. And in order to do that, you're winning worlds and stuff like that, which is your everyday grinding person. Like what I was doing for a couple of years is like, no, I was working another job. This is just a thing that you do as a hobby.
Yeah.
And you're happy when it pays for your trip.
The big thing I've noticed is that basically for a professional player, you're usually getting put up basically in hotels. They're flying you out, they're comping you food, they're doing all of this. Maybe you're getting paid like a wage per tournament you're a part of, but the winnings of that tournament isn't really like what's getting you by. And I really started seeing this when I was following Counter-Strike and I was really into the competitive scene. And you would go and look at people like Forrest or like Get Right and things like that, and their overall winnings through everything from 1.6 up until Go, which is like 15 years or something. They had won $300,000 in winnings. And that was like the number one Counter-Strike people had won $300,000 in winnings. And it's like, damn, all right, that's over a ton of years too. So that's not very viable as far as surviving. Like, I mean, not to say you couldn't, and it was almost like getting a bonus is my personal guess. So like every time you get a win, it's like you get this extra paycheck that has extra money. But
yeah, it's the only way to go off of those things.
Then there's all the politics with orgs and all of that stuff, and I was like, I don't think this is for me, you guys. I'm gonna go get a job. Like, I don't. I will say this though. Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will say, if you guys want to get in a competitive game, Dota 2, all right, Dota 2 Internationals is like the only way to make money, because that'll make you a millionaire overnight. Like, it's insane. I remember seeing the board and being like, the top like 25 people who have made the most money in prize money are all Dota 2 players, and it's all because they've won one international. And it's like, damn, okay, like, win one tournament, become a millionaire, set. All right, I don't even know if that would set you nowadays, but
I mean, it scratches an itch for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, especially where you are though. Like, a lot of those people don't necessarily live in the U.S. or things like that. I could see $1 million setting you up if you're somewhere. But
yeah, plus, I mean, all the other opportunities that come along with it is definitely where you see the real bonus, the long term, the longevity in it. And there's very few games far between that will provide that for you, which is a shame. Like, I really had wished that by now we would have seen like actual pro like tournaments like this, like actually mattering and things like that. And there's a few players that I know of that have like deals for like HP or other small companies and things like that. And those players do exist, but it's a handful.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a set thing too, where I feel like a lot of those people are just living off of contracts, or whoever's sitting on their jersey basically is paying for them to be at the tournament and anything like that. And I don't know, it's to me, it's something you have to really dive in deep and understand that it's a lifestyle, because there's a lot, yeah, it's a lot of time. Like, it's a huge investment to become a competitive gamer and actually play at a high level. Without cheating, you sons of bitches. That's actually
Don't cheat.
that was one of my favorite things about Counter-Strike community. It was like, dude, everyone was accusationing people so often, and it was just so funny watching.
That's
Like,
great.
yeah, it was just so funny, like watching and like learning about the tech and like seeing and paying off judges. Like, they'd pay off judges during like security checks and stuff. It was, dude, it was a whole thing. It was kind of funny to watch, but I mean, it's rampant now. Like, especially with tournaments going more and more online, it's hard to detect that stuff 100%. Like, you basically have to accuse somebody and then catch them red-handed, which does happen quite often, but
still,
yeah.
I mean, once you get blacklisted, though, at least they're out, and then it makes room for the next person too, though. So
Yeah.
who knows? All the crazy stuff. I wonder how often somebody's cheating can tries to say to another person who's cheating.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, gets killed by another. It's like, you
cheaters.
son of a bitch, you're cheating. He's actually also cheating. I mean, it's bound to happen. It's like, it's weird at that level of play, especially, I guess, in video games. It's much easier to cheat than, I'm guessing, like card games, even though that, I guess, is a
that's the thing, right? So in tournaments for card games, there's a lot of times, like, the nicest thing about people streaming online tournaments live is chat. A lot of times will catch a cheater that the judges and people in person don't. And we've seen those pop up, and unfortunately, sometimes they don't get caught until after the game resolves, and then there's nothing they can do about it except for ban them retroactively. But they still keep all the money and all the other stuff. But those do happen, and more often than people think they do. So it's still it definitely exists in all facets of it.
Yeah, I just feel like once you get to that level of play, that's just one of the ways to be in that level of play, is to be cheating, and it sucks. Like, I always wish that it's like, no, this is a clean slate, but no, like, it's all over the place, and it's like so much. I remember one of the big ones for me that, like, I started realizing when there's this much money involved in some tournaments, like, one of the teams threw on purpose, because the other team was like, hey, we'll give you, like, we know we're gonna win basically, but if you guarantee us to win, we'll give you so much money. And they ended up getting caught, and both teams ended up getting banned for life basically from playing Counter-Strike, which was so fucked because it wasn't the whole entire team. So, like, not the entire team was in on it basically. And so like, one of the guys that I know, like, he had got banned for like 15 years or something like that, and his ban has finally like come up, and he can finally be in tournaments again. But he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but he just happened to be on the team that threw their match. So it was like, oh man, that must hurt. They're like so into this game too. And I remember, like, still watching him. He would stream, he would do other things, he just couldn't compete. And it was like, damn, that sucks. You're on the level, like, you're good enough to be here and playing, but because you chose wrongly for your team, like, you're fucked, man.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That was actually, so back when I ran tournaments, because I was a judge for Magic for 4 years or something like that. We actually, that is a thing that you can't do, is negotiate splitting of prize monies and things like that. You have to do it unconditionally, all these other things. And that was the thing, is like, players, like, just disregarded that as like a thing. They were just blatantly in front of us, and we're like, we would have walked away probably and let you do this. Like, honestly, I'm not out here trying to stop people from making deals out in the parking lot, but you did it right in front of us.
Yeah.
Out. And it's just like, all right, third place winner gets all this. It's just like,
Yeah, because
you just threw yourself under the bus.
if you're first and you know you're first or second and you're like, hey man, if we do this we both make money, like let's figure this out.
Like they're playing for plane tickets and stuff, and it's like, now neither of you are flying to Worlds. It's bye.
yeah, I know. It's such a weird thing to like throw out too. Like, especially just getting caught doing that. Like, why would it be worth it? Like, especially if you were going to be good enough to be at that top level or potentially go someplace. It's like, okay, cool, we're both here. Let's throw this last match so we make some extra money somehow. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's, you know, I don't know. Play it out too sometimes, man. Just play it out.
Yeah.
You might win.
Yeah, exactly.
You might be, the other person's just as nerve-wracked as you half the time and is like,
yeah,
you know, trying to psych you out of it and trying to get you to lower down your winnings, basically, that could have rightfully been yours.
Is there any like any moment in a tournament like where you remember some turnaround or like something that you were watching and you're like, holy shit, they're gonna make the comeback, they're going to win this actually? Because that was my favorite thing about Counter-Strike, was just, it's not over till it's over. Like, the other, like, you could come back from nothing and end up winning. And I just remember, like, personally, there was, when NIP was in their prime, basically, they were my favorite team, and I, like, loved watching them. And they were down, I want to say they were down, like, 14-1, or they're, like, down 14-0 or something. And it's like, okay, it's over. The announcers are basically like, yeah, like there's no way they're gonna make this comeback. And they ended up pushing it to overtime, pushing it past that, and basically getting into like a second overtime and then winning in a second overtime. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you guys came back from the brink. You just never gave up, basically. And I just love stuff like that, where that's probably one of my like reasons I kept watching competitive play, was for those moments of watching, okay, it's not over. Like, they could pull off something crazy right now. We could be sitting here watching like craziness go down.
So I don't watch competitive play too often, but I do remember like parts of my own tournaments that I've been in that I've had those experiences. There was the most infamous thing that I've ever experienced in a tournament was, I was playing back when Theros was a set, or I believe something like that, for Magic, the Magic tournaments, because I played a lot of these. And there was a card called Agiok, which I was using to mill players out, because if you remove all the cards from a player's deck, you win, if they can't draw cards. And that was my play strategy, was to play through and deck my opponent. But I was in my head so dead set that I was dead to literally anything off the top. I didn't have like a way to do anything. I was tapping down his creatures, keeping things like in control but loosely. And until I turned the corner and realized that I was going to win, I had already, because it was the finals of the tournament, there was, all the prizes were next to us. It was like big hype. People were surrounding us completely around.
Yeah.
People started to have to get removed because people were booing me, getting mad at me, calling me an asshole for not killing this player already. And people were getting removed for outside help, things like that, because they were saying like, do this already, which is an instant removal from a tournament.
Yeah.
And like, I developed a group of people around me, like 100-some plus people that were all mad, plus the people out in the hallway watching on the TV who were mad, as I sit here and slowly deck out this kid. And eventually, like, all this stress and all this pressure of people around me, like, clouded my mind that I was even in a winning, like, thing, until I finally got to the point where this kid, like, sat back and he's like, that was my last good one of those. And I look in his, like, graveyard, or what, exile zone now, and, like, see that it's gone. And I finally, like, get up there and like all that energy finally like came like to fruition of like, oh, I'm gonna do this.
That's
And that was really, really great. But I had to like grab all my winnings because it was like a case of product plus money and stuff like that, and like exit that building.
You're like, I'm getting out of here.
Slew of people around me who just literally were just like calling me names, talking shit because I wouldn't kill my opponent because I had lethal on board for like 10 turns or some ridiculous amount of time. Instead, I slowly milled this guy 3 cards at a time until he was dead. And literally everybody hated me.
I'm surprised he didn't scoop. I'm surprised. Like
that's the thing. He sat it out.
That's his fault too, I'd argue. But
well, I think he saw that I was so unsure that I was like in control of the match.
Yeah.
That because I was like, the moment that he hits X card, the moment that he does X thing, it comes into play. I don't have a way to stop it. I'm dead. I was at a low life total. I was just waiting to remove all of his outs, and I was like, until all of his outs are gone, I'm not gonna win. I don't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I wasn't. Why everybody was mad. The card that I was using to remove his deck also has an ability where you can put cards that you've removed into play, and that's what everybody was mad about, is that fact that I didn't do that to kill him. But in my head, I was like, the moment that I stopped doing that is the moment that I take away my, like, what I thought my outs were, but they're all like, no, you would have just played the thing and attacked, and I was like, that's not where my head was.
No, I mean, yeah.
I was on this game plan. This is where I was going. This is what got me to the finals.
Well, it was one of those things too. I'd say like playing it safe and playing it smart, especially in like at high level play, stuff clogs your mind. Like you just like start freaking out. You go on autopilot for some stuff. I remember like at the first ever Halo 3 tournament we went to, like, yeah, it was just complete autopilot for like all of us, like just doing things and just trying our best to win. And it was so funny because we screwed up on so many small little things because we were just so stuck at like trying to pull off certain strats or like trying to do what we knew we should be technically doing. But like it was just, it's one of those things where you'd forget. You're like, oh wait, we could have won earlier. We could have won 100% if we had just basically pushed at this one moment or whatever it might have been. We could have got the flag. We could have got the second flag capture. It could have been over. Instead of like grueling, waiting and trying to just protect the flag until time runs out, because that's the safer, more beneficial thing to do at the time. Like,
yep.
It might take longer. It may be way more nerve-wracking, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure this is going to win. So like, yeah. I don't know. I totally feel that, where it's just your mind. Yeah, you can't see what's in front of you sometimes, or even if you can, your brain's telling you don't do that. All right, like you do that, you lose. When in turn, yeah, you could have won earlier.
Yeah, I mean, to my thoughts, like the entire time is like, I made it to the finals doing this. The rest of you guys aren't here.
Yeah,
this is obviously what I need to do in my head. So I just wasn't listening to anybody.
Yeah,
that's how I was going. Have you ever seen like anything really crazy go down in tournaments?
Like personally, the one that comes to mind, I guess it's not like really necessarily crazy, but it's just dumb, and we ended up losing because of it. But like going back to the Halo 3 stuff, basically we were up against a professional team. Like we had won, we had moved on, we were up against a professional team, and we were basically winning. We were going to win. And our friend went to go capture the last flag where it needed to go. And he walked over where it is by default. So like defaultly, you walk over your own flag, right? So your flag's sitting there, you walk over your own flag, you capture it. But in MLG, they had moved the capture spot off of the flag and next to it. So our friend didn't realize this and is trying to capture the flag over the flag and end up getting sniped. We ended up getting reset and we ended up losing the tournament literally because they had moved the flag position over like 2 inches to the fucking left. And we were like, no, This is the worst. Like, no. But yeah, just moments like that mainly. Just different random things. Like, tournament that I wasn't in though, just seeing like, I don't know, in Counter-Strike, just seeing people get aces or things like that against professional plays, like for that clutch round where they needed to reset the other player's economy or the other team's economy by getting a win, and they clearly weren't, but then somehow he pulls off getting like 5 headshots in a row on kids. But yeah, nothing really sticks out necessarily.
Have you ever seen a fight or anything like that occur?
Almost. So we had these kids. So I used to run Halo 2 tournaments. That's like what we did here. And we had these kids come from out of town. Like they heard about our tournament and they came out of town to like, they were like, come, dude, they were talking so much shit too. And it was a duos tournament. And 2 of my best friends were in it. One of the kids who was pro. I'll just say that he was pro. And then one of my other best friends, and they basically ended up getting to like, that one team was talking mad shit. They got to the finals. Like they were like on their hype. They were like basically making fun of the other teams, all this stuff. And then it got to my friends. So it was like the finals. It was them together. My friends won the first round. They won the second. It was going to the very last one. And it was so fucking funny. I remember like they had just lost on midship, if you guys know what midship is, but so they had just lost free for all or for a team slayer on midship, and my friends look at each other because there was their map pick basically after losing, and they look at each other like, we're doing midship, all right, we're taking you guys down. And like they just basically picked the same map and completely crushed the kids afterwards. And those kids were looking for a fight after. They were so pissed. You could tell like they finally got put in their place after the entire tournament, and it felt good. As a tournament runner, I'm like, yeah, all right, later you guys, like you have to come get your second place prizes and stand next to these kids who won. But yeah, you ever see any like actual people throw fists?
I have. So back in the day, I used to play with a bunch of kids. There was this kid named Sam who did have a sponsor, was playing in tournaments semi-professionally for a bunch of stuff, but this was like, I don't remember what tournament it was for. I think it was for a vehicle. It like was like the prize, like this is like some truck and some other stuff was going on. But either way, it was a Halo tournament. He was playing in it with a team. I wasn't a part of this one. It was just one that I saw. And they won, but the whole time on the other side of the aisle, the guy who was playing him was shit talking him the whole time.
Yeah.
And was making fun of how short he was and all these other things. Sam was short, but stacked and short tempered. He stood up without anybody knowing what he was doing. It just looked like he just won the tournament. Everybody was like on his side of the team, happy, celebrating. He stands up, walks around to the other side, and just clocks the guy and gets so he gets.
Oh my
ejected
god!
from
I was
the
gonna say
tournament.
yeah. Oh my god!
But it was more important to him to go clock this guy than the fact that he just won this tournament against this guy.
That's so fucking funny. I could totally see that. I mean, dude, shit talking, especially like in tournaments and stuff, it's like, dude, sit down. All right, like what the fuck? I would see it so much more in Call of Duty because like when we went to MLG, it was Call of Duty, Halo, and I think there was one other. I want to say Rainbow Six was there too. But the Call of Duty kids, you'd go over there and like every third sentence one would be standing up and like shouting over the screens at someone and then sitting back down. And you're like, dude, what? Calm down. Like, what the hell, man? Like, I don't know. I always found shit talking funny in tournaments, especially when you're all sitting there in some sort of room. And back then it wasn't really casted unless it was the like final tournament. So you're just really just playing games and shit talking some random kids who you don't know. Like,
I have seen in Magic tournaments when I was a judge. It was like a 200-person tournament. Wasn't all that big. We had a local kid that did have an anger issue problem, which he's way better about it now. But he grabbed his deck and after a game loss one day and just threw it across the room.
oh my god!
And when it got to the other side, it went from this like nice little brick that just kind of flew through the air and just went everywhere. And just showered the side of the room with cards. It was quite great.
Yeah, I was gonna
the best
say
tantrum I had seen.
that's such a like I could totally just see that happening. I've always wanted to see a table flip, like a legitimate table flip at a tournament. I've never seen one of those, but I
never had a tournament. private game. So I used to play Twilight Imperium every week with this group of people, and we played competitively with ourselves. So, you know, it was just like hardcore games between each other. They would usually last like an hour or so. And this was third edition. There was a faction that could basically like huddle and do stuff, and politics were a big part of this game. I made it to where nobody could attack my people, and I could control the center of the board, which is how you win the game. Through laws that made it to where you couldn't invade any more planets that people were on, and I was whatever, doesn't really matter. Long story short, in this small little game of friends, I got kicked out from playing because the host of the game grabbed the table and legitimately flipped it, which wasn't really flipped it because it was a ping pong table, so he jacked up one side, the center bent in, and the whole thing went slam.
Oh my god!
And he never wanted to play with me again because he was like, that was complete bullshit, and just went off on me. And I was like, I lost a gaming group of friends. Bye.
Dude, I mean, weirdly enough, I feel like I could see that. It's one of the things about gaming groups that is strange once you're trying to like all play competitively. It's like, hey, we're all friends, but this is annoying as fuck. Stop winning. And you're like, but we're here to do that. Like, at the end of the day, like, we're still friends, right? Like, we're here to have fun and play competitively. What is going on? What did I not sign up for? Like,
and you'll actually know this one. So the friend group that we draft with, so we have a group of friends that we go over to their house, we draft. It's a bunch of people that we know locally. And at one point before Bear joined into this group, which I think you've heard the story before, we had a competitive week where we were winning trophies and whatnot because it was a fun little gag thing between the group of us. I go from like the most like relaxed, joking Magic player to a hardcore competitive player when there's something on the line, even if it's as dorky as a trophy. Which a lot of players that used to go there didn't know how good a Magic I was, so I won all the trophies and made two of the people that don't play in our friend group anymore very violently mad at me.
yeah, I think that's funny too, though, where it's like I like how this friend group, which is probably one of the reasons why I really enjoy playing over there, is like, oh, we're gonna get rid of those kids. Like, we're gonna get rid of the kids that are like violently mad right now instead of the kid who's actually good at the game. Like,
yeah, I mean, what was I gonna do? I was just winning.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're playing the game to your best ability and winning. Like, and you just happen to be the best person out of the group. Yeah, I don't know.
I've had these problems.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there's another local group here. When our local shop closed down, they invited us a bunch of people to competitive local tournaments for actual prizes and whatnot. And it was supposed to be like this cool deal or whatever. So I won that one. And then they were like, oh, no, the prizes that we said you were going to win today are, we need to hold on some of these prizes so that way people can get them, you know, for other games that we play. And like, they kept coming up with these excuses why I wouldn't get them. And at the end of it was like, okay. Well, we'll that one was going to be the grand prize for like the later tournament. So you know what? We'll be nice. We'll let you roll for what prize you get tonight. And they laid out all the prizes and went like 1 through 6, and like the one you actually wanted is now 6, and if you roll that, you can take it now. Roll the 6.
You know what? I'll take my prize.
Got my prize and dipped, and I was like, I'm never coming back to this bullshit again. I didn't, because we all had to pay a decent amount to get into this thing, and they were supposed to be real prizes, and it was just like they tried to snake me out at the the last minute once I crushed them all. And I was just like, you guys were just trying to come up on prizes.
Yeah.
No, screw you.
Magic's a
those
weird.
People don't play with us anymore.
Yeah, Magic's a weird one too, where like I really enjoy drafting, and I liked going to like local drafts at our LGC and like just our LGS and just playing like for fun. And one of our places, like the majority of our places, do like whatever you open in your pack you get to keep, but then a couple of them do where it's like rare drafting, right? Where everyone basically has to turn in their rares ever. And then whoever wins gets like first pick of whatever the rares are. And man, it just ruins drafting to me where you're like, oh man, I opened the sweet card. I mean, sure, maybe it sucks that I'm drafting this card now because I opened it and I really like it, but at least I get to keep it. Like,
yeah, no. And that's I mean, you would see, the people who played in those drafts versus the people who left those drafts, like that split the community a lot
Yeah.
when the store started doing stuff like that. And I mean, they got reputations because of that, but now their main competition's out of the way, so it's not like we all have that many choices anymore. So
We really don't around here.
We don't want to.
Nope. When LGS is open up and we want to draft again, I think we got like one store.
Yeah, I think the other two closed down, and the one over the hill that was good left for Vegas. Like it's slim pickings now.
It really is slim pickings now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Oh man. Well, at least I mean we have a place to go draft still, because drafting in Magic is my favorite thing. I think that's where Magic for me shines, and just playing with a group of people who are there to have fun to draft instead of like competitively draft is even more fun. Like I've had some of the best moments and met some actually like nice people. I remember when I was bringing like my girlfriend for the first time to go draft at our local LGS. She didn't know anything really about Magic at all, so she didn't know what to pick. And I remember her passing a pack to the person next to her, and she hadn't taken the rare in it, basically. And the dude was like, "You're gonna want this," and basically was like, "Whatever you took, here, just give it to me, and here's the rare that you want." And I was like, "Damn, that's so nice." That dude 100% could have just snaked that card and didn't even say anything. But he was like,
"Yeah, this is a homie hookup."
Yeah, and I was like, "Man, that's stuff that I enjoy about the Magic community when you're all playing casually for fun. No one's out here trying to make money off of opening a pack that has a certain card in it or."
Nah. And that's the way it should be. Like, and that's the thing that I liked about the shop that I ran for the years that I did, is I tried to make that place as casual as possible with the people that wanted to be there because it was fun.
Yeah.
And make it as like inclusive as possible for everybody, no matter who you were.
Yeah.
And for that, we did. We had some of the largest diversity of the entire community, and that was fine. Like the other store was like, "Oh, but we're the competitive store," and it's like, yeah, but you're also noted as the jerks. Like,
yeah,
good
no,
on you.
Exactly. And that's something like when we were running our tournaments and the place that I ran my tournaments at, that's what their whole thing were about. We're trying to get as many people to come in and play. Like those kids who came over the hill, yeah, they weren't able to come back and play in our tournaments after that because they were making such asses of themselves. And like kids would want to come and play in these tournaments, and actually like we would try to figure out ways to give them a fighting chance. Maybe not play with the most competitive rules, maybe tone it down in such a way that like, yeah, maybe there's a little more RNG in this, but this kid over here who just entered the tournament might have some more fun than if he went into a Smash Brothers tournament trying to play against super try hard kids and things like that. Like, of course, those kids are going to show up, and there's no way to really like be like, "Oh, well, you can't enter and crush this kid." But like for Smash Brothers, what we started doing is doing all items at high percentages so that it was a little more chaotic. It wasn't just 1v1s either. We usually would do four person free-for-alls, and it was just one of those things where people were like, "But this is supposed to be competitive play," and you're like, "No, it's competitive. It's a tournament. Like, we're having a thing here, but we want it to be fun," basically. Funnily enough, on that, one of the fun things that we came up with was an amiibo tournament. So every year, there was a tournament that we would have where everyone could.
I've heard of this one.
Yeah, everyone could bring in their amiibos. I don't. Oh, I do have them on my desk. Here's my champion of 2 years in a row. He probably would have been 3 years if COVID didn't happen. But yeah, so the very first year they were trying to set it up, and they didn't say anything about not putting spirits on your amiibos. If you guys don't know about Smash Brothers Ultimate and how amiibos work, is you can scan in your amiibo and you can train against him. You can also put items on them to make them like more difficult or like give them like specials and stuff. And they when the tournament happened, they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're playing without spirits." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. So you can go turn it off in a game setting." But for some reason that game setting doesn't work. So basically, I had put spirits on my dude to make my Ganondorf like he has something on there that starts him at 200%, but he can't get launched very far, and then he's wearing another thing which makes it so he doesn't gain percentage very quickly, but he moves extremely slow. And so I put him against my Link amiibo and literally just let them fight for hours. And so he trained against another amiibo. So he learned absolutely nothing. That's the other thing about amiibos. They learn how you play. And so they evolve and make like their attack schemes and stuff off of how you play. But my Ganon, since he was learning with a level 1 Link, they literally both learned to do nothing. All my Ganon does is he holds up and does like the smash kick that explodes on the ground. And it turns out this is surprisingly good in an amiibo tournament. Because everyone's amiibo is over here trying super hard, and my Ganon's basically like, smash, smash. And their amiibo will just run up and die. And I remember the second year, I felt so bad because like a bunch of people came back. Weirdly enough, I had a reputation by the second year. Like people were training amiibos. Like this one girl came over, was like, I'm going to crush your Ganon. I've been training my amiibo to beat your Ganon. I'm like, oh shit. And I remember this kid, he came, I was like, hey, so you're not entering the tournament? He's like, no, there's no way you can win. Like, I was like, oh my God. Because he had got second place the year before. Like his Link got there, crushed everybody else, got up against my Ganon, lost immediately. And he was like, I'm not even, like, they even tried to make it hard on my Ganon this last time by picking a level that switched, basically, that like moved around a ton. And they tried to make it so it was like 3 amiibos at once fighting. So maybe there was a chance that like the other ones would fight. And I ended up just crushing still. And they're like, all right, whatever. Like, you win. Good job. But yeah, that's the most recent tournament I've won is my amiibo tournament where I've done literally nothing to deserve this. But those are fun. I really want to do like Twitch content at some point where we just get a shit ton of amiibos together and basically host an amiibo tournament. And like cast it as though it was like an actual Smash Brothers tournament. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be fun, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys ever like want to train an amiibo to fight someday, I'd be down. All right, well, meet up at a con. I'll bring my Switch.
Amiibo fights.
You can fight the legendary Ganon. Yeah. I don't know. I do think there's something about getting your casual players to have fun though, because like I mean when that kid came back and he was like basically you could tell that he's like, yeah, I'm not playing because you were so good. It's like I don't want that to happen. Like I wouldn't want that to happen in an actual tournament where it's like, oh, I came to play at this tournament, I got crushed so hard that I don't want to play anymore. And it's like, yeah, that's never a fun thing. You're just losing your player base basically. You're slowly dwindling it to like a certain few kids. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the casual market's much larger than the competitive market, and
that's true too.
Tailoring to that is an important thing to do.
Yeah, I just like having that community. Like I think that community is much nicer to each other necessarily than your high-end community where.
Well, they're also more self-policing too. Like they'll correct somebody if they're like starting to be nasty. They're like, hey, we don't do that here, type of thing usually. And that's like not a thing that happens at more competitive areas. They'll just be like, yeah, we're all here to be spiky, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
and you just get more and more toxic.
Yeah,
it keeps going. But you know, we've seen some of the communities.
Oh, dude,
get real toxic.
Oh my God, dude, yeah. R.I.P. a lot of the competitive communities everywhere this last year or so. Like, damn, man.
You all know what you did.
Yeah, you all too, especially Smash Brothers community. Damn, if you guys don't know, check that shit out. That shit's real. Like, holy shit. But I do think that there is a place for that though. Like, I do like watching competitive play. I used to watch it a lot more than I do currently. And I do enjoy playing. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the last tournament that I actually entered was Warzone. That I played in
on that one.
Yeah. We ended up
I don't watch competitive stuff, and it turns out I have watched.
Yeah, I was gonna say we took first place in the first one, and then in the second one we took third.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just, I don't know. I really do enjoy getting in a tournament and playing. A lot of the time, I mean, just the place where all places, in that range. I do feel like I'm fairly good at video games enough to end up in those levels. Maybe not so Magic. I think that's some of the things I really enjoy about playing with our friend group for Magic is like I'm probably in the lower tier of that. So when I do win, it feels good. It's like, yes, like, haha, I finally did something I did right. but it's not like it's like a struggle to get there. Like I don't know. I really enjoy that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get back to playing games.
Me
That's
too.
where I'm at for
Yeah.
sure. Hopefully everybody else gets to go out and play games soon. And if you guys haven't been a gaming people, then maybe this is something that we'll do at some point where we'll go over like a bunch of good games for people to get into.
Yeah.
But just go out to your local game stores again at some point. As soon as it's safe, as soon as you feel ready, go out and check them out and enjoy some good games, guys. It's one of the favorite things I've done throughout the years. I am so happy I got into casual gaming
Yeah.
in board games and things like that, or even casual video games. It is so good.
Yeah.
It's just healthy and relaxing.
You'll also meet some really nice people. I feel like some of the
Amazing
best
communities.
yeah, some of the best people I've personally met are from those communities. I mean, of course there's bad eggs everywhere, but the majority of people that I've met in my local gaming communities and things like that have become good friends, and I'm just happy to see that things are going to open up again and that we can go back to some semblance of normal. Well, you guys, if there's anything that you play competitively, let us know in the comments down below. I'd like to check it out, and yeah, maybe
if you want to challenge us, I'll take you down.
Hell yeah. Let's go. All right, you guys, take care, everybody. Have a good night, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Later.